Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and today I would like to have a simple but hopefully fun conversation about how Nintendo looks to be positioned to totally blow us away with the next 3D Super Mario game during the big Nintendo Switch 2 Direct that will be airing on April 2nd. I thought this would be a good conversation to have the day before Mario Day. Tomorrow is March 10th, and there will likely be some Mario Day related announcements. What those will be, I am unsure. We'll deal with them tomorrow when they happen. Until then, I just want to have a conversation about this big Mario game, because I think there's a ton of potential here, and I think it's going to leave a lot of people totally floored and inspired to pick up the Switch 2 by the end of the year. But before going forward, let me take this moment to point out that I am aiming to reach 50,000 subscribers by the time the Switch 2 launches, so if you find yourself enjoying my content, I would appreciate it if you could subscribe and hit that notification bell. So in 1985, Nintendo released Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo Entertainment System. Fast forward 40 years later, and we're about to celebrate the 40th anniversary for Mario. Now, I don't expect the big 40th anniversary announcements to come until later on into the year, because I think a lot of those announcements are going to have to do with the big Mario games on Switch 2, like Mario Kart, like 3D Mario. And similar to the 35th anniversary, they didn't dive into those anniversary announcements until later on into the year. They didn't reveal all their plans on Mario Day. They waited until September of that year for the 35th anniversary Direct. But I believe the core piece to all of these celebrations has to do with the 3D Mario game. And it makes sense not just because of the anniversary, but actually more so because we are entering a new generation of Nintendo. Oftentimes, that launch title is a Mario game. Super Mario Bros. Was the launch title for Nintendo Entertainment System. Super Mario World was the launch title for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Super Mario Advance was the launch title for Game Boy Advance, Mario 64 for the N64, and Mario 64 DS for the Nintendo DS. But yes, in more recent generations, Nintendo has not launched their consoles with the next mainline Mario entry. However, most of the time, this Mario game has come out within that first year. Super Mario Sunshine came out in that first year for GameCube. Super Mario Galaxy came out in that first year for Nintendo Wii. Super Mario 3D World came out within that first year for the Wii U. And Super Mario Odyssey, yes, came out within that first year for the Nintendo Switch, and I expect things to be the same this time around as well for the next 3D Mario. And when you also consider that it is Mario's 40th anniversary and that there's a big movie coming out early next year, it all makes sense for there to be some sort of big celebration surrounding this huge new game. And so in this Switch 2 Direct, I expect it to be a huge presentation, and I also expect that we will finally get our first look at this 3D Mario game. It's been a very long wait. The last full-on new 3D Mario was Mario Odyssey that released in October of 2017. Yes, for Mario's 35th anniversary, Nintendo did release 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and Bowser's Fury was some new 3D Mario content, but that was just a small little inclusion of some content that does not answer for this 8-year void of 3D Mario. The 3D Mario team has been cooking, and they've had so many years without releasing a full-on new game, they might even have 2 ready to go. So the point is, I think it's more than reasonable to expect that there is a 3D Mario game that is close to completion, if not totally ready, and Nintendo will start to show it to us in this big Switch 2 Direct. But also, like I also mentioned how it is the 40th anniversary, I think it is important for this game to be a big deal, because I think it will help to inspire a lot of sales, a lot of excitement, a lot of conversation, and leading to sales for other things having to do with Mario. The Mario games, the Mario merchandising, the park, the movies, they all feed into each other. And so this game kind of needs to be a big deal. Nintendo kind of needs it to totally blow us away. But I have no doubt that that's exactly what they are going to do. There isn't really any history of a big 3D Mario game not being a pretty big deal. These 3D Mario games that open up a new generation for Nintendo consistently end up being one of the best games of the generation. And considering how long we've been waiting for this one, I think this time we should perhaps have even higher expectations than usual. Especially because the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be a significant leap in technology for Nintendo. It's one of the more significant leaps we've seen in a very long time. Consider this for a moment. The Nintendo Switch has been a very long generation, over 8 years. One of the longest in history. And yet, the technology of the Switch, while fairly impressive for the time of 2017, that was in large part because it was a handheld device, a hybrid console, that could somehow still provide us with some level of home console quality gaming, even though, yes, we could take it around portably. The Switch itself wasn't that much of a leap in generational power compared to Nintendo's prior home console, the Wii U. It was only a little bit more powerful. Essentially, games were basically in the same ballpark. And let me elucidate this just a bit more here. Nintendo has found ways to still wow with their games. They have built up quite a track history of maximizing their hardware and over time learning how to use it better and better. And yes, the Switch is newer than the Wii U, and so there's a lot of different tricks and techniques that developers can use to make their games look and run better. But the point still stands, it's only just a little bit more powerful than the Wii U, and compared to other console generational leaps, it hasn't been that much. And so once you take all of this into consideration, you could consider this leap we're about to see with Switch 2 to be something even more substantial, because basically, in terms of the quality of the home console experience, we've been playing games using technology that came out in the year 2012. This year is now 2025. We are approaching 13 years here. And so yes, the Switch 2 is going to be dramatically more powerful than the Switch 1. And 3D Mario, a game that likely has been built ground up for the Switch 2, that the 3D Mario team has been spending so many years on, is going to be a significant leap for us. And so, yes, there is every reason to expect that this game is going to blow us away. Now, a counter argument that I'm sure some people will bring up is that you look at the few seconds we've seen of Mario Kart for Nintendo Switch 2, and some people are arguing that this Mario Kart game isn't that impressive. Well, I will say a few things on that. One, this is off-screen gameplay. It is not direct feed footage. We cannot see this game totally clear. And it was just a few brief seconds. So we had a very limited viewing of this Mario Kart game. And yet, despite that very limited viewing, I would still argue there are some very impressive things going on with that few seconds of Mario Kart footage. 24 racers on screen, large maps, some pretty sophisticated rendering techniques, things that we wouldn't really see too much of on Switch. So there is actually already reason to think, with that very limited footage of Mario Kart, it is impressive. But also, historically speaking, Mario Kart hasn't always been the most impressive game for a console. I think Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U kind of changed our perspective a little bit on just how impressive Mario Kart games are from a visual perspective. And I'm not saying that I expect this next Mario Kart to not be impressive for the Switch 2, I'm just saying that there's a good chance, considering history, that's not going to be its main focus. 3D Mario, on the other hand, consistently has been a kind of offering that has always been meant to impress people and show off what a console can do. And this goes beyond just visuals, by the way. This also has to do with gameplay, so whatever sort of unique gameplay possibilities the Switch 2 can offer, I absolutely expect that this 3D Mario game will take advantage of to some degree. For every 3D Mario game, there's always some sort of unique thing that they figure out that they implement into their games. 3D World had the cherries that allowed you to duplicate Mario, which was kind of an insane concept. Mario Galaxy had gravity-based mechanics and puzzles. Super Mario Sunshine had some insane water physics. Odyssey had all of the different Cappy mechanics, with being able to possess almost every single character and also being able to use Cappy as a jumping platform. And so there's plenty of reason to think that Nintendo's going to continue this trend and utilize some unique gameplay concepts for this next 3D Mario game, and it's not necessarily going to be just some sort of wacky controller gimmick here. Of course, that may also be an option. We do know about the mouse technology with the Switch 2 Joy-Cons, so maybe they find a way to take advantage of that. It might be another neat way to play the game, but it will not be the only way. I can say that with some decent degree of confidence. But going beyond that, I do have myself wondering what direction this Mario game will take. Will it follow the 3D World and Mario Galaxy games where you tackle these smaller linear levels? Or is it going to continue what we saw in Mario Odyssey, where there are these bigger, more open areas that we explore? Or perhaps, could they be building off the gameplay they established with Bowser's Fury, where it's one open world environment that continues to expand? I would personally enjoy whatever direction they take, but I do kind of like the idea of continuing in the Bowser's Fury direction, in the sense that there is a massive open world to explore, and as you go about, you'll find these different areas that have their own theme, and you just sort of seamlessly waltz into there. You walk, run, or swim into there, and there are challenges that you can take, and the music and everything changes dynamically. And within these environments, you can still find those shorter linear levels, but you can always still have the option to jump out of them back into the open world seamlessly. And while these different themed areas will have these linear challenges mixed in, there will also still be some of the more larger environmental-based puzzles or missions like we saw in Mario Odyssey. And then at the same time, you have the opportunity to have a grander scale puzzle that's more so about connecting the larger open area. And perhaps they could go even bigger. So let's say Lake Lapcat from Bowser's Fury is just considered to be like one continent or one kingdom in this next 3D Mario game, and everything I just described kind of happens within Lake Lapcat, but they could go even bigger and make the overarching story about connecting these different larger areas. And so there could be another layer to that gameplay dynamic there, expanding and connecting the environment with an increasingly larger scope of challenges. Now, we probably will not have a full understanding of how this game is going to play from the Switch 2 Direct, because I don't think they're going to show us everything there is to learn about this Mario game in this presentation on April 2nd. I think they will likely just give us a little bit of a teaser. And I say that because I don't think this 3D Mario game is going to be the launch title for Switch 2, because if it was, I think they probably would have shown that instead of Mario Kart in the Switch 2 reveal trailer. I think more likely this Mario title is going to be closer to the holidays. And so what I think we're going to be getting here is probably something more like the first Mario Odyssey trailer, where they told us about the game, we got a good look of the game, but there may be some core mechanics that they're still hiding, like the camping mechanic. We didn't learn about that until we got our next view of that game a few months later. But still, with that initial teaser, I still think we're going to have a substantial amount to look at, analyze, and talk about, and it's going to be an exciting time. And as of this recording, we are less than 24 days away from the big April 2nd Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I'll see you all really soon. Take care.